Well, good morning and welcome to the Business Spotlight. I'm Rick Plaskett, a certified business and leadership coach here in Columbus, Ohio. And today my guest is Yasmine Robles. She is the owner of Rebel Marketing. And I'd like to say Rebel Marketing exclamation point because she's got a story behind that I'm just dying for you guys to hear. Today we're going to talk to her about the business challenges, some of her best practices, and share a little peek into what really makes her go. And it helps also a little bit about what she did to build this business and to operate it, because she's got a very interesting story of balance of life. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe and get notifications of further interviews in the future. So Yasmine, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me so much.
So I've already prepped the audience a little bit because I really was inspired by your story, but could you give us a brief overview of your background? Tell us a little bit about the business and how you got to be here today.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Rebel Marketing. Like you mentioned, we originally went by Robles Designs because when I started the business, I didn't think it would become as big as it is now, or that I'd have a team. It was kind of just a need for flexibility. I used to work in corporate retail and I had little kids and I needed, with kids, they fall down, they need to go to the doctor all the time. And I just needed a little bit more flexibility and didn't necessarily want to commute so often. And so I went off on my own. I started off freelancing and it slowly built up. And then I got an intern, two interns at one point. And I started hiring, and now we are a full service agency.
Awesome. So to set the stage for the viewers, what's your current ownership structure? In other words, are you the sole owner? Do you have outside investors? Are you in a partnership with others?
So we've been in business for 10 years. And for those 10 years, I've basically been solo, the main owner, the buck stops with me. But this summer, we officially obtained a partner who is Izzy Dudosky, and she's amazing. Very much, I would say, my opposite, but we get along really well. And she has become a partner, and she's become really an integral part to the growth of Rebel Marketing.
Super. So with a partner, a brand new partner, tell us a little bit about what's the role that you currently play in the business.
Yeah, so I feel like I went from wearing all the hats. I was the HR, I did the strategy, everything. Everything stopped with me, right? And I was the go-to person for questions. But now with a partner, I feel like there's a little bit more of a load off of me. And we have, during our meetings, been able to delineate who does what our each of our roles are. Is it implementer, a visionary? What tasks, who does our, for example, our summer intern, who does our summer intern really go to when they have questions? Is it both of us? Is it just Izzy? And how do those dynamics work? So we've been, even before she became a partner, we were almost inadvertently already working as a partnership
Mhm.
and delineating those roles. And now it just became official with the signing of a contract. But that's been our focus, is trying to figure out like what is each of us passionate about? What
Mhm.
do we want to tackle? Where do our skill sets lie? And then just implementing those.
Mhm. That's interesting because many times when businesses bring on a partner, they want to talk about what their specific roles are. And sometimes they don't cover how are we going to make decisions? When you have a partner and they have a piece of the business, how are decisions made? Is it majority rules? Is it 100% congruency? How do we decide who do we hire? How do we decide where we spend our money? And those are probably more important than the what of the business. But it sounds like you and Izzy have a long-standing relationship that pretty much has ironed most of those out already. Is that a good assumption?
Yeah, that, and we did have that talk, right? What are the unanimous, I guess you could call it unanimous votes that get to
Mhm.
happen? So if we were to sell the business, we need to make sure it's a unanimous decision, or if we were to
Hmm.
merge, et cetera. And there are things that it still stops with me, but with my personality, she's always going to be involved. I always need that other point of view. And she's both younger, she's single, there's a very different point of view that she brings to the table. And so having her involved in almost every aspect, even if it's just her kind of listening in on meetings, helps a
Hmm.
lot, because when I have shiny object syndrome and I think that I can purchase this thing or join this cohort or whatever it may be, speaking to her about it during our meetings, she can help guide and give another viewpoint, I guess, as to whether that is a good thing for the business. Even though, yes, I am the ultimate decision maker still with the percentage that I have with the company, she's still a really important part in making those decisions.
Super. Well, let's take that. You've taken all of the hats and now you've divided up and given her part of those hats. But if we were to focus on just two hats, one would be operational in the business, and one would be the strategic vision on the business looking to the future. What's the percentage breakdown that you would give yourself today?
Yeah, so I think today I probably have more of that visionary percentage. And although Izzy's still involved within that, doing our brainstorming and our yearly retreats, things like that, I still end up being the visionary. I'm still the higher percentage owner. I get to guide the ship a little bit more, whereas she's really good at breaking down that vision and then strategizing and then pushing back. Which is what I
Hmm.
love about her. She'll be able to push back and say, you know what, your vision is to have this done in a month. Realistically, looking at our bandwidth, it's probably going to take a little bit longer, maybe about 3 times as long. And so that creating that timeline. And then we also have our online business manager who then takes that strategy that Izzy has come up with from the vision and then actually puts it into a project management system and puts everything into action. So it's a very nice trickle effect that we've come up with, that workflow.
Well, you call it a trickle effect, but you really have hit the three parts. You have the vision, which is your long range. You have the strategy, which is what are we going to do to get to that vision? That strategy then breaks down to goals. And then
Mm-hmm.
from there, you go down to actions.
Yeah.
So, with the fact that you're in this position where you've just brought on a partner, so that's a new change. What's your vision for the business in 3 to 5 years? You said your vision, so I'm asking you, what's that vision? Where do you want to be when you grow up in 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so our goal, most of our clients are in Columbus, although we have some international clients and some in like Seattle and that sort of
Mhm.
thing. Our goal is to start pulling back a little bit, at least on my part. I've been in the business for 10 years. I would like to start pulling back a little bit from going to 20 events for all of the events, right? When you start out, you're going to all of these different events. Start pulling back, and I've already started that where I'm on a couple of boards, on committees, and really selecting what I become a part of with a purpose, right? And then Izzy has come on board with her energy, and she has also, although she is coming in with a purpose, she's taking on some of those more, I guess you could call it ancillary events, the extra events, the happy hours, that sort of thing. So in the next 3 to 5 years, taking one is for myself to pull back from a lot of these events and travel more personally. I would like to travel more and be able to operate the business remotely. We are currently fully remote, but we are still almost basically based in Columbus, Ohio. We are
Mhm.
entrenched in Columbus, Ohio, and we'd like to take it to more of a remote feeling for the business, because that way it'll give us freedom to move where we want to move, travel when we want to travel.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go squirrel on you, but you
Yeah,
said
go
you
ahead.
wanted to travel. What's your first destination on your bucket list when you can travel?
So Portugal and Spain are on my list. I would really, really love to go there. And beyond that, once I'm in Europe, it's a little bit easier to go through places. So I would
Mhm.
love to not necessarily stop working for 6 months, but be able to create workflows in the business where I can still work, but be for 6 months, just kind of travel throughout Europe because I'm already there. I made the long trek, the long flight over. I might as well slow travel. And it's slow travel for me is something really great because you get to meet and really entrench yourself in that local culture.
Hmm.
Taste, not just see the touristy areas, which is great, but also see, go off the beaten path, if you will. And so that's my goal for the travel. Start in Portugal, Spain, because I think that's what my Pinterest is showing me, but then continue on that journey in exploring the rest of Europe.
Well, you and I need to get together after this interview because when I was in corporate America, I filled two passports traveling all over Europe. So I can share with you some of my ideas and visions, and we'll see how they line up with yours and see if I can help
Yeah.
there. So let's drill down a little bit. You've got your vision here, and you said that Izzy helps ground you, which is turning that vision into something more tangible about goal setting. But I want to ask you your approach to goal setting, and let me set the stage for you. Um, I once had one of my coaches share with me that if I knew how to hit that goal, if I knew all of the things to get there, it really wasn't a goal. Just put it on the to-do list and get it done. A good goal for me is something that I need to learn. I need to grow in order to get to that goal. So, what's your approach to taking your vision, working with Izzy, and setting that goal?
I think that if the goal doesn't make you a little bit scared or nervous, it's again, it's a task, right? You can just put that into Asana or your project management system and get it done. But it should feel a little nerve-wracking. So if there is, if doubling your income or whatever your goal for the year is, doubling the amount of clients maybe, and with that, what does that come with? That comes with hiring maybe. So if it doesn't make you nervous, then I feel like it, again, like you said, it's just a task. So usually we come up with a vision, and if I feel like it doesn't stir up butterflies or make me go, how the heck am I going to get this done? Then it probably, I'll usually, if it's monetary or the number of clients, I'll triple it and see, how
Hmm.
does that feel? Does that feel creepy? Does that feel like, does that still feel okay? Or does that feel like too crazy? And there's a thing like the big, hairy, audacious goal, right?
Hmm.
If it doesn't feel like it's, you're not, if you feel like you could just hit this in a year easy, I don't know, it's probably not, again, like you said, it's probably just a task. Just put it on your to-do list. But that's how it then trickles down. So we come up with this goal, I bounce some ideas off of Izzy. Usually she's also the one that goes, you know what, you multiplied that by 3, let's multiply it by 3 again. And then she'll start breaking down, okay, how do we actually, what does this mean per quarter, per month, per week? What are the tasks that we get to have completed and by when? And then Aaron, who's our OBM, will come in and really implement a lot of those into our systems.
We, I work with all of my clients and we set both a goal and a stretch goal. So the
Mm,
stretch goal would be the one that today we just think it's ridiculous. You know, it's not realistic.
mhm.
Okay. I tell you what, it's surprising once we start that mentality, how many times you're tracking towards that stretch goal. The regular goal, and we hit that, that's not a problem. That's just standard operating. But then you use your mindset, your philosophy, and I love the way you said if a goal doesn't scare you, then is it really big enough and are you really dedicated to it? I love that. That's a fabulous statement of yours, and I see how that's going to impact you going forward. Let's look a little bit more. You know, you just said you hired Izzy and you're building your team. When you think of the future in business, it's important to address building a great team. So, have you seen changes in your leadership style since you were wearing all of the hats and now you have a partner that's wearing some of those hats?
I'm less controlling. I feel like, being in business 10 years, we've also gone through the phase of we grew too fast at one point. And so taking those lessons and understanding that, especially with hiring, just hiring slow, seeing how we can hire slow, fire fast.
Hmm.
And then hiring with intention, and even bringing on clients with the correct intention, not just because they seem like a really good name or portfolio piece. Um, so we've taken that approach. And then with leadership, at first, yeah, I was checking in all of the time, right? We used to be in person. So it'd be like turning around and asking, how's that project going? When literally, like, I just gave it to them. And now the shift is, okay, so if Izzy is managing our summer intern and some of the other projects, she gets to cultivate her leadership skills and she gets to ask if the project is done. We also, that's the reason we have a project management system to track how fast we're getting things done. Uh, and then setting up systems so that I know that the people who are working on the items, like our summer intern, she has at least a video how to, that she has a creative brief. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows who she gets to go to with questions about certain projects. And so that helps me just kind of let go and not be on Slack all the time asking where things are at. We also created a weekly team meeting. So that way, even if I wanted to message at 11 p.m. about some kind of project, which I try not to, or I schedule those to go out later, but we know that every Wednesday we have a team call that where we can then talk about anything that's behind.
I love that. Can we dig into that just a little deeper? When you go into your weekly meetings, um, how long are those averaging time
30
wise?
minutes, I would say 30 minutes. We try to keep it to
Fabulous.
30. And then I do not manage those because I will either forget to do the agenda or the agenda won't be the right one. So Erin, our online business manager, she gets to manage that meeting and she has a checklist. She's always ready to go. She pulls out anything that is overdue. She talks about people in our lead funnel. And so we get to cover everything within those 20 to 30 minutes.
Awesome. Do you know the hidden secret benefit that you get to have someone else running that meeting?
Consistency. I don't know about what your thoughts are, but I would say consistency is better now. And I get to also call myself. Like she'll call anyone out that's
Mhm.
behind. So we can't hide behind our own agenda.
Okay, those are all great. What I was actually thinking of, and I didn't even recognize this until midway through my corporate career when I met a department senior VP that had his assistant run the meeting. And it took a while. What you get is you get to be present. You get to be present with the content. You're not looking at the clock. You're not worrying about who reported and didn't report, who's ahead, who's behind. You know, you get to be present as the leader and be able to be part of the agenda, part of the leadership and part of the management instead of having to multitask of run the meeting and be present with the content of the meeting. Um,
Mhm.
Remember that because that is a huge value you've set up,
Yeah,
and it sounds like you kind of didn't even recognize that that's a
yeah.
superpower that you're doing. Congratulations on that. If there was a training area with your small team right now, but if there was a training area that you could focus on and it would improve your business significantly, what would that training area be?
I would say our team gets to, depending on who on the team, being able to possibly join some kind of speaking or some kind of training for becoming a better speaker. We do a lot of workshops around town. Workshops, I know Izzy's going to go out on Friday and she's going to go give a talk on social media. This week I gave another workshop for in association with another organization. So just getting better. We can always get better at speaking in public.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one portion of it. But we always focus on our own continual education. So I know right now Izzy is taking additional, more advanced courses on SEO and AI and how those two play together. I'm looking at some other courses for myself. So we're big nerds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we are also looking at leadership development. So There are in Columbus, Ohio, where we are based, there are a lot of organizations that support with leadership development. There's some within the city of Columbus, some that are online. And so we're looking at those as well for both Izzy and I, because you can always learn more about leadership. There's always new theories coming up, not just speaking in public, but how do you manage critical conversations, right? Or crucial
Mhm.
conversations. I know there's a book that I read about that. How do you help a small business pivot? How do you speak to a client, or how do you negotiate with a picky client? Those are all things that some of them I've learned with just messing up, but there's also other people that have messed up just as well, and they can support us in teaching us what not to do.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. So listen, we've certainly covered a lot of ground so far in our conversation. And for those of you that are watching, I hope that you save this. I hope that you come back a few times because Yasmine's really given us some great nuggets here. And we've moved pretty fast, so some of them might have just flown by. Please save it and go back and watch again because she really has. You got your ducks in order, Yasmine. You really do. That's very impressive. So listen,
Well,
as we go ahead.
I was gonna say I've fallen on my face a lot. So it's been 10 years, almost 11. I've fallen on people say, you know what, you guys blew up immediately overnight. No, I've been at this for 10 years. 5 of those I probably messed up a lot, probably lost some money. People, I want to remind them that it's not an overnight thing. If you feel like someone's got it all put together, it's probably because they messed up a ton.
Everybody messes up. The fact that you messed up and then you stood up again and
Mhm.
said, you know, I'm bigger than this. I can do this. And now I learned to duck instead of taking that one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So listen, as we wrap up, I want to hit a section of rapid fire questions. This is just what's top of your mind right now. You ready for these?
Yeah.
Super. So Yasmine, what's your key to success?
Curiosity, being
Good,
curious about all things.
good answer. What's one piece of advice that you would give another business owner?
Do things that make you uncomfortable.
What's a book that you're reading now or you've read recently that you would recommend to the audience?
There's two that I'm reading right now. I believe it's called The Motivated Speaker, by a local author. And there's another local author. It's a pricing book. Her name is Casey Brown. She owns Boost Pricing, I believe. The pricing book's title escapes my mind, but I'm reading that one as well.
Awesome. Super, super, super. If you could choose one area of business that you could improve immediately, take a magic wand, say abracadabra, and tomorrow morning it's exactly where you want it, what would that area of the business be?
Ooh, for my business, probably moving the lead funnel to more of an online gathering instead of having to go to events and network. I like people, but it would be nice to do that. And then we can kick off our 6-month year up journey.
Ah, there you go. Super. So before we hit the final question of the day, if the audience is interested in becoming one, your new best customer, or two, just loves what you've said and wants to talk to you direct, Yasmine, how would you suggest they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can go to myrebelmarketing.com. You can find us there. If you are looking for a freebie, myrebelmarketing.com/checklist. I'm big on LinkedIn, so you can always message me there. You can find out what all the things I'm posting on LinkedIn. And I'm always open. My favorite time of day or meal is breakfast. So if you say you want to go meet up for breakfast, usually I'll say yes, or coffee and carbs. That's how you can bribe me.
Coffee and carbs. I love it. Super. Well, thank you for sharing that, Yasmine. Here's the last question. What do you find most inspiring?
Small business owners that start up, they sometimes are giving everything whether it's something that they own, their blood, sweat, and tears, their finances, and there's a passion that you can see, a fire that you can see in their eyes when they're starting these businesses from the ground up. I just went to another breakfast place today, and it's a family owned brunch place. It just opened up, and you can feel that energy radiating off of it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, Yasmine, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your journey as well as your philosophy. Like I said, it really sounds like you've got a number of things together, and I can feel the passion in your presentation on the desire for going to good to great. And thank you, audience, for watching today. I hope you found this as inspiring as I did. Folks, make it a great day. Get out there and have fun, get committed, and celebrate some of that passion that Yasmine challenged you to do. And bye for now.